What does it feel like to witness a miracle in motion? A shocking upset in the mud? Or a flawless run that rewrites the record books? Welcome to our countdown of the top 10 fastest Kentucky Derby horses ever recorded. From longshots who shocked the crowd to champions who defied belief, we're reliving the moments that turned races into legends. And stick with us until the very end, because we've got a bonus story about a horse who ran a winning time, but still finished second to an icon. Our countdown begins with an underdog no one saw coming. At number 10 is Mind That Bird, who won in 2 minutes, 2.66 seconds. He was small, overlooked, and was dead last when the Derby began. Nobody in the stands realized they were about to witness a miracle. But in the mud at Churchill Downs in 2009, Mind That Bird turned a normal day into magic. Sent off at 50-1 odds, he stumbled out of the gate and dropped to the back. It looked over before it began. Yet jockey Calvin Burrell knew the rail like a secret passage, and he glued his horse to it. For a mile, the pair crawled behind the pack, splattered in mud, waiting for daylight. Then, just past the final turn, the little gelding unleashed something no one knew he had. He shot through holes that seemed impossible, skimming the inside post with a burst of speed that stunned the announcer. The field never had a chance. In a few strides, he blew past 19 rivals and thundered into history. He crossed the wire nearly 7 lengths clear, the biggest margin in over 60 years. The clock read 2 minutes, 2.66 seconds. Trainer Chip Woolley had hauled him 1,200 miles in a beat-up pickup and trailer. Now he stood with roses draped across his unlikely champion. Mind That Bird won the Derby in a way no one saw coming. He stole it. That miracle in the slop set the tone. Next comes a colt who walked like a king and ran like one too. Owning number 9 is Fusaichi Pegasus, who stopped the clock at 2 minutes, 1.12 seconds. When Fusaichi Pegasus walked into Churchill Downs in 2000, he didn't look like a long shot. He looked like royalty. Gleaming chestnut coat, head held high, muscles rippling with every step. He carried himself as if the roses were already his, and unlike most favorites before him, he had the power to back it up. The break was shaky. He stumbled astride and slipped into mid-pack, and the buzz of doubt rippled through the crowd. But Kent Desormeaux never panicked. He eased the colt wide, letting him breathe, waiting for the stretch run. Down the backstretch, Pegasus settled, and the rhythm changed. You could see it in the way he lengthened his stride, gobbling up the ground beneath him. By the far turn, the question wasn't if, only when. Desormeaux tipped him out, and Pegasus answered with a surge that looked effortless. He swept past horses like they were standing still. At the top of the stretch, the crowd was on its feet. He hit the wire 2 lengths clear, stopping the clock at 2 minutes, 1.12 seconds. Owned by Fusao Sekiguchi and trained by Neil Drysdale, Fusaichi Pegasus became the first favorite since Spectacular Bid in 1979 to wear the roses. On that day, he more than lived up to the hype. He silenced every doubt. The next race was decided by inches, with a photo that kept everyone guessing. Our number 8 Derby champion is Grindstone, a photo finish winner at 2 minutes, 1.06 seconds. The 1996 Kentucky Derby wasn't decided until the very last stride. Under gray skies at Churchill Downs, 20 colts broke from the gate, but the drama of that afternoon came down to just 2, Grindstone and Cavanier. Grindstone, a homebred colt owned by Overbrook Farm and trained by D. Wayne Lucas, settled mid-pack early. Jockey Jerry Bailey, cool and calculating, kept him tucked in, waiting for the right break. Cavanier, meanwhile, had seized control, looking every bit the winner as the field turned for home. Down the stretch, the crowd roared. Cavanier clung to his lead, ears pinned back, fighting to hold on. But Bailey had timed it perfectly. He tipped Grindstone to the outside, and with each stride, the gap narrowed. 50 yards from the wire, they were neck and neck. The finish line came in a blur of hooves and mud. Nobody knew who had won. The infield screen replayed the photo. Grindstone's nose was there, just inches ahead. The clock stopped at 2 minutes, 1.06 seconds, one of the fastest Derby times ever recorded. The celebration, though, was bittersweet. Only days later, Grindstone was retired with a knee injury, making him the first Derby winner in 70 years to step away immediately after his victory. It was a triumph written in fractions of a second, a reminder that sometimes glory lasts only as long as a single stride. That photo finish reminds us of how fragile glory can be. Before we dive into the next champion, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss these stories of racing magic. Now we move to a colt who grabbed the lead and dared anyone to take it from him. Holding position number 7 is Authentic, who ran to victory in 2 minutes, 0.61 seconds. The outside post has broken plenty of Derby dreams, but not this one. In 2020, Authentic shot from the gate like he owned the track, his long stride eating up the dirt before most rivals had settled. With John Velazquez perched steady in the saddle, the colt grabbed the lead and dared the field to take it away. Behind him, all eyes were on Tiz the Law, the Belmont winner and heavy favorite. He stalked close, biding his time, waiting to deliver the knockout punch. The setup felt familiar. Frontrunners usually collapse under that kind of pressure, but Authentic wasn't the type to crumble. Down the backstretch, Velazquez kept him smooth, holding a rhythm while the others chased. At the top of the lane, Tiz the Law loomed at his shoulder. The battle was on. For a moment, it looked like the favorite had him measured. Then Authentic answered. He dug deeper, his stride stretching longer, every muscle firing with defiance. He drove past the wire a length and a quarter in front. The clock stopped at 2 minutes, 0.61 seconds, a scorching finish that stands among the quickest runs of the modern Derby era. For Bob Baffert, it meant a record-tying 6th Derby crown. For Authentic, it was the race of his life, carved out from the toughest post and the heaviest pressure. And now, modern brilliance gives way to a blast from the past, an overlooked runner who stunned a packed Derby crowd with a run nobody predicted. At number 6, we have Proud Clarion, who clocked his win at 2 minutes, 0.60 seconds. No one had his name circled in 1967, and Proud Clarion entered the Derby at odds of 30-1, dismissed as just another colt filling the gate. He wasn't the flashiest. He wasn't the headline horse. But on that May afternoon, he proved that the Derby never follows a script. The field broke clean, and heavy favorite Damascus surged into position, looking every bit the champion. Most eyes followed him, but tucked further back, jockey Bobby Ussery had Proud Clarion right where he wanted him, settled, patient, waiting to strike. As the race unfolded, the fractions were honest, the pace sharp. Coming off the final turn, Damascus loomed large, set to roll. Yet here came Proud Clarion, swinging wide, his stride suddenly stretching, his chestnut coat gleaming under the sun. The long shot was in full flight, closing the gap with each stride and passing the very horses the crowd thought would lead. In the final furlong, the underdog stormed clear. The wire flashed at 2 minutes, 0.60 seconds. A blazing performance that left most Derby winners in his dust by nearly a full second. Trainer Lloyd Gentry had called him better than the betting suggested. On Derby Day, he was right. Proud Clarion upset the field and rewrote the story in front of 100,000 stunned fans at Churchill Downs. If you love shocking moments like this, our next video on the most shocking Kentucky Derby upsets of all time is right there on your screen. Cracking our top 5 is decidedly who set a record at 2 minutes, 0.40 seconds. He wasn't the favorite, let alone the flashiest. But on Derby Day in 1962, decidedly ran like a colt with something to prove. Against a field packed with bigger reputations, the gray outsider turned Churchill Downs into his stage and carved his name into the record books. From the start, he broke clean but dropped near the back. Jockey Bill Hardtack never flinched. Known for his patience, Hardtack trusted the early leaders to do the damage themselves. They blasted through quick fractions, burning energy with every stride. Decidedly waited, biding his time, saving strength where others wasted it. Down the backstretch, the moment came. Hardtack angled him wide, clear of traffic, and let the colt roll. That's when the gray coat caught the sun, and the crowd took notice. Decidedly began swallowing ground in great, effortless strides. One by one, he swept past horses that had nothing left to give. The noise grew as he stormed into the stretch. Hardtack never panicked. He just hand-rode him, keeping the rhythm smooth. At the wire, Decidedly was 2 1/4 lengths in front. The clock flashed 2 minutes, 0.40 seconds, and a new Derby record, set by a horse almost nobody expected to shine that bright. For Hardtack, it was his 3rd Derby crown. For Decidedly, it was the day he turned doubt into history, running straight into greatness. Up next, a frontrunner who went wire to wire with breathtaking defiance. Racing in at number 4 is Spend a Buck, who posted his win at 2 minutes, 0.2 seconds. Some Derby winners wait for the stretch, but Spend a Buck never believed in waiting. In 1985, the bay colt broke from the gate like he had somewhere to be, and he dared the rest of the field to catch him. Spoiler alert, they couldn't. With jockey Angel Cordero Jr. aboard, Spend a Buck wasted no time in grabbing the lead. The fractions were hot, faster than most thought any horse could sustain. Yet stride after stride, he kept powering forward, his legs churning with relentless rhythm. Down the backstretch, rivals tried to close the gap, but the colt simply widened it, running like a horse possessed. Turning for home, the tension broke into disbelief. The frontrunner, who was supposed to tire, just kept rolling. The grandstand erupted as Cordero sat chilly, hands quiet, letting the colt do the work. Horses behind him were driving hard, but none could get close. At the wire, Spend a Buck was 5 lengths clear. The clock froze at 2 minutes, 0.20 seconds, one of the most blistering Derby times ever recorded. It was dominance from gate to wire, a performance that proved his speed could last from start to finish. On that May afternoon, Spend a Buck won on his own terms, a wire-to-wire masterpiece etched into Derby history. That blazing display sets the stage for a little Canadian colt, who proved greatness isn't measured in size, but in heart. At number 3 is Northern Dancer with a time of 2 minutes flat. He was small, barely over 15 hands, and many dismissed him as too compact to challenge the giants of the sport. But in 1964, a fiery Canadian colt named Northern Dancer stepped onto Churchill Downs and left no doubt that greatness comes in every size. From the break, he was sharp. Jockey Bill Hardtack guided him close to the leaders, keeping him tucked in but never far from the action. The early pace was hot, yet Northern Dancer felt right at home. His stride efficient, his rhythm steady. Down the backstretch, he stalked the front runners, waiting for the chance to strike. That moment came on the far turn. Hardtack asked, and the little colt exploded. Northern Dancer swept past his rivals with a burst of speed that had the grandstand shaking. Charging into the stretch, Hill Rise loomed at his flank, pressing hard, refusing to quit. The two colts thundered side by side, the crowd on its feet, hearts pounding with every stride. In the final yards, Northern Dancer dug deeper, his head low, his stride fierce. He edged clear at the wire, stopping the clock at exactly 2 minutes flat. A new Derby record. The victory was more than just fast. It was historic. Northern Dancer became the first Canadian bred to wear the roses, and from that day forward, his bloodline reshaped the future of thoroughbred racing worldwide. He also rose to become one of the greatest racehorses the sport has ever known. We've seen speed, but now comes one of the rarest sights in Derby history. Taking the runner-up spot, is Monarchos, with a time of 1 minute, 59.97 seconds. Sometimes the Kentucky Derby delivers a finish so fast it feels unreal. In 2001, Monarchos gave Churchill Downs one of those moments. The gray colt, trained by John Ward and ridden by Jorge Chavez, entered the race respected but not feared. From the start, Monarchos sat well off the early pace. The leaders tore through furious opening fractions, daring anyone to keep up with them. Chavez held his mount steady, letting the speedsters burn themselves out. Down the backstretch, Monarchos was buried in mid-pack, his white face lost in a sea of pounding hooves. But then the far turn came, and with it, Chavez's signal. Monarchos unleashed a breathtaking move. He weaved through traffic, swinging wide into the stretch, and the crowd gasped as he found another gear. In a matter of strides, he swallowed the leaders whole, surging past with the kind of acceleration rarely seen at this distance. At the wire, he was nearly 5 lengths clear. The clock stopped at 1 minute, 59.97 seconds. The clock stopped at 1 minute, 59.97 seconds, making him only the second horse in Derby history to finish under 2 minutes, running into legend and proving himself one of the fastest Derby champions of all time. As fast as that was, the best was yet to come. And finally, at number 1 is Secretariat, with a jaw-dropping 1 minute, 59 seconds, and 40 hundredths. Some call it the greatest 2 minutes in sports, but those who saw it live know it felt like more than that. It felt like witnessing perfection. On May 5th, 1973, a massive chestnut colt named Secretariat stepped into the Churchill Downs starting gate carrying the weight of history. Already the favorite, he carried not just a crowd's hope, but a nation's fascination. What he delivered that day still stands unmatched 50 years later. From the break, Secretariat didn't hurry. He settled calmly behind the leaders as the field tore through fast opening fractions. Jockey Ron Turcotte sat still, knowing exactly what he had underneath him. Down the backstretch, Secretariat began to unwind. His stride lengthened, smooth and relentless, covering more than 24 feet at a time. Rivals who had set the pace could only watch as he glided past with breathtaking ease. At the top of the stretch, the grandstand shook with noise. Secretariat surged again, finding yet another gear, pulling away as if the race had just begun. He hit the wire in 1 minute, 59.40 seconds, smashing the Derby record. Even more astonishing, his final quarter was faster than his first, a testament to an engine without limits. That afternoon, Secretariat submitted the wildest horse race finish ever. He became the measuring stick for greatness itself, the horse of the century, the legend against which all others are judged. His record still stands, eternal, a symbol of absolute equine perfection. But even on that unforgettable day, one rival ran a time fast enough to win almost any Derby, but finished second. And the promised bonus mention is Sham, who ran 1 minute, 59.8 seconds. No countdown of Derby speed would be complete without mentioning the horse that ran in the shadow of greatness. On May 5th, 1973, Sham delivered a performance that, in almost any other year, would have been enough to win the Roses. Jockey Lafayette Pincay Jr. had him perfectly placed, pressing the pace with power and determination. Down the backstretch, Sham was right there, stride for stride with Secretariat, refusing to back down. As they hit the far turn, Sham unleashed everything he had. The crowd roared, sensing a classic duel. His stride was enormous, his heart even bigger, but he was up against a rival with an engine no other horse could match. Secretariat found another gear, and Sham, for all his brilliance, could only chase. He crossed the wire with an estimated time of 1 minute, 59.8 seconds, faster than nearly every Derby winner in history. Yet fate placed him second. Sham never got the Roses, but he earned something else: respect. Racing fans still talk about him as one of the greatest horses never to win the Derby, and a gallant runner who pushed Secretariat to legendary heights. We've come to the end of our countdown of the fastest Kentucky Derby horses ever. But remember, Even legends needed rivals to prove their greatness. The journey doesn't stop here. Click on our next video, Every Kentucky Derby Winner. Since 2000 and where they are now, to see how champions lived beyond the finish line.